Today we are going to be team building for the BDSP OU metagame. And as you can see on your screen, there are a couple threats to watch out for. The number one threat you're going to want to watch out for is Pelipper and Rain. Rain is extremely strong right now with Pokemon like Manaphy, Swift Swim Kingdra, Swift Swim Kabutops. There are a lot of big threats on Rain. So Pelipper or even Politoed enables Rain. So you're going to see a lot of Rain teams on the ladder. That's something you need to be prepared for. And then you have to be prepared for the big five. The big five of Dragon type. Latios, Latias, Salamence, Dragonite, and Garchomp. These five Pokemon are all really good. They're all dominating the meta. And back in DPPOU, a lot of these Pokemon were even banned. So these are definitely Pokemon to watch out for. And they're borderline uber. They might get banned in the future. We don't know yet. And then after that, we have other threats to watch out for. That is Gliscor, Clefable, and Starmie. Starmie might be an interesting one. It hasn't been relevant in a long time. But in this metagame, it is really fast, it has a lot of coverage moves, and most importantly, it can't be trapped by Pursuit because Pursuit does not exist. So previously in DPPOU, Starmie struggled with Tyranitar. Here it doesn't really have that issue, so Starmie is actually a really big threat. So how do we actually build teams in the metagames? We're going to build 3 teams today. We're going to build a balanced team, an offensive team, and then a weather team, a rain team. So let's go ahead and start with a balanced team. How do you build a balanced team? Well, typically what you want to do, or what I do anyway, is I start off with a core I like, and then I build around the core. And what I make sure to do is I don't focus on the threat immediately. I try and build my core, execute my game plan, and then work on the threats I need to fix. You don't want to build way too reactively and not execute your own game plan. So one resource you're really going to want to check out whenever you're learning a metagame is something called the Role Compendium. They give you a list of Pokemon that can fulfill each role. So say you want a Toxic Spike user, you can go here. Say you want to find a Defogger, you can go here. And you can even find things like Wall Breakers, Choice Band, Choice Scarf users, Setup Sweepers. This resource is going to be really valuable and I'm going to link it down in the description. But this is definitely a resource that you want to access. So how do we build a team? First, you're going to want to pick a core you like. Now, roughly speaking, there are 2 types of cores you can use. One core is your traditional synergy-based core based on types. So for example, Fire, Water, Grass, Dragon, Steel, Fairy. These are very traditional cores. And then the other type of core you can have is called an Overload core. An Overload core is a very offensive type of core where you try to stack threats to attack common weaknesses. And what I mean by that is, say you have a Garchomp and a Salamence on the same team. On their own, neither one of them can fully break through something like Clefable. But together, they can work together to actually break down Clefable. So in exchange for offensive power, you first of all have 2 of the same type, which makes you worse off defensively, but it's still a good type of overload strategy. So let's go ahead and build a balanced team. One thing I noticed looking at the metagame, looking at the Role Compendium, is something I liked is a Calm Mind Suicune. Calm Mind Suicune has always been a threat, but I think it's going to be a big threat here. So I'm going to build Calm Mind Suicune with Toxic Spike's Roserade. A very standard core, water and grass, good type synergy, very basic, and it's just illustrative of how to build a good team. So we'll give Suicune leftovers, give it Pressure, Scald, Calm Mind, Substitute, and Protect. Now this is a very nasty PP stalling set, but you can customize it. Maybe you want Ice Beam, maybe you want Roar, maybe you want Rest and Sleep Talk. Whatever it may be, you can kind of team build on your own. You can kind of customize your team later in the video. So we're going to start with Suicune, and then we're going to add a Toxic Spike's Roserade. That is going to stack really well with a Substitute Suicune, and it has good type synergy as well. Let's give it a Black Sludge, Natural Cure, Leaf Storm, Sludge Bomb, maybe Sleep Powder maybe? And then Toxic Spikes. And again, these movesets are interchangeable. You can customize them. This is only to give you an example. So let's go ahead and give Roserade the moves. And now we have a water and a grass type. Our core is basically done, but let's try and finish off the core. We have water and grass, let's add a fire type. So a really cool thing you can do in the team builder is you can type in a keyword and you can click filter and it'll show you all the good fire types. So you can see Arcanine, Blaziken, Camerupt, Charizard, Entei, Heatran, Rotom Heat even. I think we're going to go with Heatran because we still need a Stealth Rocker. So let's go ahead and get Stealth Rock Heatran, and you really want a Stealth Rocker on all your teams. Let's go with Flash Fire. Stealth Rock, Magma Storm, Earth Power, and let's go with Protect. And one thing to note is that they removed the Toxic TM from BDSP, so the only way to learn Toxic is if you level up. So something like Heatran does not have Toxic anymore. And if at any time you don't know what set to use or what easy spread to use, what you can do is you can go to Smogon. Smogon does not have the BDSP analysis as of right now, but you can probably use the OU analysis and then customize it. So you could probably use something like this and then customize it. So we'll go import Heatran here, and then we can customize it. So let's get rid of Taunt for Stealth Rock, and then let's get rid of Toxic for Protect. And Protect is going to help us with Magma Storm and also with Toxic Spikes. Now we have our core ready, the foundation is set, you have a good core sitting in front of you. Now how do you finish it off? Now is an okay time to go ahead and look at your threats to watch out for. So immediately I see Rain is kind of an issue, but not really. We do have a Suicune and a Roserade, but we are kind of weak to Dragon types. Salamence with Earthquake could be really problematic. For example, Garchomp is problematic. So what I think of is I need to think of ways to deal with Dragon types. Are there any good Fairy types? Are there any good Ice types? Well, I know Clefable is a Dragon check, so let's go ahead and add a Clefable. Now, one thing to note about Clefable is that it doesn't have Soft Boiled anymore, so you have to use something like Moonlight or Wish and Protect. Let's go Moonlight, Moonblast for sure, and then what do we want to do now? We have a lot of options right now because our foundation was set properly. We have a lot of options. We can run anything. We can run Thunder Waves. We can run Calm Mind. I'm thinking Calm Mind could be a good idea with Toxic Spike support. Let's go Calm Mind, and then Ice Beam for the dragons. Let's go ahead and make this maximum bulk. And Magic Guard is overall really, really good as an ability. Okay, we have our Clefable. And now I'm looking at my team, and I'm looking at the threat list. We've covered the Dragon types. We covered Rain a little bit. Now looking generically at my team, it's kind of a slow team. Let's go ahead and add some speed. Let's add a Weavile to the team. Let's add a Weavile, we'll give it Life Orb maybe? Life Orb, Pressure, Swords Dance. Weavile doesn't get knockoff, so you're going to have to run Night Slash, maybe Icicle Crash, and Ice Shard. This gives us some speed on the team, and is overall another wall breaker to add to our balanced outlook. And now looking at my team, I need to be applying the finishing touches, and one thing I notice is that I don't have an electric immunity. And electric immunities are very important, otherwise you're going to lose to the combination of Volt Switch and U-turn. So again, I can look at the team builder, I can add the ground filter, and I'm going to sort from BST just so I get the good Pokemon on top. And Garchomp, Rhyperior, Swampert, Mamoswine. Garchomp looks like a good idea. Let's go ahead and add a Garchomp to the team. Garchomp is overall very good. It's a threat to watch out for. Let's give it Rough Skin, Swords Dance, Earthquake. And if you want to see what moves the Pokemon gets, you can use Dragon, for example, and then you can scroll down to the Filter command. So you click Filter, and you can see all the Dragon moves you have. These aren't particularly attractive, maybe Dragon Rush or Outrage. Let's add Outrage for now, and then add a Stone Edge. So we've kind of built a balanced team. This is a rough draft, obviously, we've just built it right now, and we have a pretty solid balanced team. Now, it's very important when team building that you should always be iterating your team. You shouldn't just build one and be happy. You should constantly be looking out for new ways to improve the team. So for example, maybe instead of Protect, I can use Ice Beam. You know, as you play games on the ladder, you can improve your team, you can figure out things. Maybe this Clefable set isn't that good. Maybe I should try something different. But for a first draft, you've made a pretty good first draft, and this is a balanced team. Now, what about an offensive team? Now, for an offensive team, the structure is very similar. You pick a core, you typically pick a Stealth Rocker, and then you round out the core with Pokemon that synergize it naturally. So let's go ahead and build an offensive team. Now, one Pokemon I've really wanted to try out is Calm Mind Latios. Latios is very powerful. In fact, it was banned from the original DPP, so I definitely think it's going to be really strong. Life Orb, Levitate, Draco Meteor, Psychic, Calm Mind maybe, and then Roost. So this is the set I'm going to go with. And how do I synergize with this? One way of synergizing is to add more Dragon types, because basically what I'm worried about is Steel types like Heatran walling my Lati. So how do I deal with that? So I look through some of the sweepers, and a sweeper that I really want to try out is Gyarados. Gyarados can Dragon Dance on a Steel type, and with Moxie, it can actually be really, really powerful. Let's give it a Lumberry to set up on Toxic. We'll give it Moxie, Dragon Dance, Waterfall, Earthquake, and then Ice Fang. That sounds good, right? So we give it, and we'll make it Adamant, why not? And we formed an offensive core. Now at this point, our core is basically done, and with an offensive core, we can typically be a little more flexible about how to finish the back end, because we don't need to check everything as long as we can outspeed it, maybe. So right now I'm thinking, as an offensive team, I need to be really worried about Clefable. In particular, I need to be worried about Unaware Clefable. Unaware Clefable is being used to check Dragon type, and they can kind of stop my setup sweepers. I need a Stealth Rocker, and I need something that can beat Clefable. So let's look at my Stealth Rockers. And again, you can also check the roll compodium for this. You can go to Stealth Rock. And one thing that looks attractive to me is Nidoqueen or Nidoking, right? So I'm going to add a Nidoking as a Stealth Rocker to my team. It gives me a Ground type, it gives me a Stealth Rocker, which is attacking, and it gives me a Clefable check. So let's go ahead and give it Life Orb, Sheer Force, Stealth Rock, Sludge Wave, obviously, Earth Power, and now I can use Ice Beam to hit Latios, or I can use Thunderbolt to hit water types. I'm going to go with Ice Beam for the Lati. We'll give it Ice Beam, and there we go. We have a pretty good offensive core of Lati, Gyarados, and Nidoking. Now, we look at the threat list for now. I am still kind of weak to Dragon types. So how do I fix a Dragon type weakness? I can use something like Togekiss maybe, or can I use Gardevoir? And maybe I can use Clefable. It's a little slow, but it's still Clefable. It's still one of the best Pokemon. I could even add a Weavile to the team. I have a lot of options right now, and one option I kind of like is Gardevoir. Gardevoir with Choice Scarf and Trace. It's a very generic Scarfer, but it has one trick up its sleeve. Moonblast, Psychic, what else? Focus Blast maybe? Yeah. But it has Healing Wish, and Healing Wish is a good Pokemon on offense to help with Gyarados and Latios. So basically, we've covered our Dragon weakness, and we've also added some support for Lati and Gyarados. Now what I'm looking at is that I'm kind of weak to Starmie. Starmie is really annoying for offense because of how fast it is and how much coverage it has. It can Ice Beam Lati, it can Thunderbolt my Gyarados. It's actually kind of annoying to deal with. So in response to that, I'm going to be adding a Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is a good Starmie check and has Nasty Plot, which I do like. So Levitate, Nasty Plot, Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp maybe? Yeah, we'll add Willow to it. Yeah, and we have a kind of nice sweeper that does check Starmie. And now what do? We have a lot of our core set in place, and now this is more of a luxury slot. What do you want to add for your luxury Pokemon? We can add something like Nasty Plot Gengar. We can add Swords Dance Weavile maybe. I kind of like that idea. Let's add a Weavile here. This could be anything, it's a luxury slot. We can add Life Orb maybe, Life Orb. Ooh, we could even add Crawdon maybe. Yeah, any Wall Breaker is good. We can add like a Banded Metagross too. But for now, let's add Weavile, Swords Dance, Night Slash, Icicle Crash, and then Ice Shard. And we've built a pretty good offensive team. These are all first drafts, so you can iterate through them. Like say you don't like Nidoking, that's fine. You can replace Nidoking with something like Mamoswine. And then you're kind of weak to Clefable now. Maybe replace Weavile with Life Orb Gengar. So you can kind of mix and match and try and figure out the team while playing. And one thing about offensive teams is you should not be scared of using berries. For example, a lot of things you can get around is if you use a resisting berry. So for example, Gyarados, I can give it a Walken Berry to help versus electric types. I can give Lati maybe a Yachi Berry. Obviously not on the same team, but you can really have fun with berries on an offensive team because it only needs to work once. Because offensive teams, you hit them and you hit them hard. You don't need to switch in multiple times. So if you can create one opening, just one chance to sweep, you're in a good position. So berries are especially useful on offensive teams. And we've kind of built two teams right now. We built a balanced team. We've built an offensive team. Again, these are all rough drafts. You have to iterate through them, play some games, figure out what's good and what's not. But now let's go to a weather style team. We've finished the more standard teams. Let's go to weather. Now, weather, the rain archetype is basically Pelipper or Politoed. I like Pelipper because of U-turn. Pelipper, Manaphy, and Manaphy is good to beat Stall because Tail Glow and Rest makes it really hard to actually one-hit KO, and Stall Kings can't really do anything about it. Grass Knot can hit Gastrodon, for example. Blissey will lose to Rest. So Manaphy is good for bulkier teams, and then Kingdra is good for offensive teams with Swift Swim and Hydro Pump, Surf, all the good stuff. Now, you don't have to use these two Pokemon, and I suspect Manaphy may get banned in the future. So what you want to do is you want to just type in Swift Swim, and then you can filter through Pokemon you might like. Maybe you like Kabutops, maybe you like Ludicolo, maybe you like Quillfish. You have a lot of options, but fundamentally you probably want Pelipper and then 2 Water-type attackers. Now after you get the 2 Water-type attackers, you're definitely going to want a Stealth Rocker, and then you want that Stealth Rocker to ideally not be weak to Electric because you have 3 Water-type. So Ground type and then Stealth Rock. And again, we have options here. We can use Garchomp maybe, Gliscor, Swampert, Mamoswine. We can use a lot of options. Let's put a Mamoswine in for now. We have a Stealth Rocker. And now, how else can we abuse Rain? We can add something like Clefable, for example. Clefable helps versus Dragon types, and it can use, for example, Thunder, Moonblast, Calm Mind even. So you can form a pretty cool offensive core with Mamo and Clefable. And if you want some speed on the team, you can add something like Lottie. So you can add maybe Soldew, or this could be either Lottie, it doesn't matter. Maybe Draco or Calm Mind, maybe even Surf. Does it get it? It gets Surf too, right? So you have options, and this is not strict. The only thing that I would call mandatory are these 3 Pokemon, Pelipper, Manaphy, and Kingdra. After that, nothing is mandatory. So say you don't really want Clefable, that's fine too. You can replace Clefable with Kabutops. That's fine too. The important thing for your Rain team is to have the big 3, Pelipper, Manaphy, Kingdra, and then try and have ways to beat Pokemon that beat these 3. So you're going to want to have a way to beat, for example, Mantine. Mantine with Water Absorb is really annoying, so something like Kabutops could help versus Mantine. Maybe on Lati you can make it Thunderbolt, or Thunder to help with Mantine. So you do have options to beat these Water Absorb Pokemon, but Rain is basically a very formula-based approach. You can pick your 3 and then mix and match the other 3 to fit the team. And Sun works in a similar principle. Instead of Pelipper, it is Torkoal. Instead of Kingdra, it is Venusaur. Very similar in principle. And yeah, these are the 3 main archetypes I wanted to cover. That is Rain, Balance, and then offensive teams. If you like this type of team building video, make sure to subscribe for more BDSP OU content. But overall, yeah, this is how you should be building teams in a new and unfamiliar metagame. Don't forget about the role compodium. Don't forget about checking out the analysis, all good stuff to be using. And yeah, thank you.